Okay, the final thing that we're going to take a look at for Solid Edge ST4 using the hand mixer demonstration is our drafting environment, which is a world-class environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to open up a draft document, and in this particular draft document we've already got an exploded view with flow lines, and what we need to do is just create a parts list. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the parts list option, select the view in which I want to place the parts list against, and you'll notice that the parts list is actually attached to my cursor waiting for me to place it. Now before I place it, what I want to do is just take a quick look at some of the options that are available to us. You can set up company standards for your parts list, such as color and font style and columns and rows. And we've already got one set up for this particular material, so for the hand mixer. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Now another thing that's kind of neat is you can also add a title. Here I might just call this say Mixer Assembly, just for the title of our parts list. And then I can come over to columns and I can add any type of property that I want, and it'll extract it from this particular file. If I want to add a, for example, maybe a user-defined column, I can do that, and then of course I can format my columns depending on which one I select here. Under the data setting, you'll notice this is the data that will get read into the parts list. And under the user-defined, if I want to put in here some type of note to the user, I can do that depending on what you might want to use that user-defined column for. Of course, you've got sorting, and you've got other options that you can set for, like item numbers. Maybe you want to filter in or out pipes, pipe fittings, frame members if you have those. You can change the item numbers if you want. Maybe I want this to be number 8, and you'll notice what Solid Edge does. It says, well, you've got two number 8s, so I can't let you out of here until you fix that. So if we made this 8, then I guess we need to make this one 9, and then it will take the key in that you have there. We support list control as far as atomic list or top level list, and of course also ballooning. So let's take a look at this. It's attached it to my cursor, so I can just come up to the left corner, place that parts list. The system will automatically balloon your parts for you, and at that point, if you need to make an adjustment as to where they are in the folder, or excuse me, on the sheet, you can do that. As we zoom up a little bit, you're going to notice that it extracted all of the information that we're looking for, and if I need to make any adjustments to the width of any of these, you notice we just got some handle points that we can grab, and maybe we want to shrink this down a little bit so it doesn't take up quite as much room. And then I can grab this and maybe grab my view and move it over a little bit so that my bullets are well within the view that I'm working with. Now, another thing that's kind of neat too is you can take a bullet and you can just adjust it. If you want to make it to move it to where it's more appropriate, that's easy to do. Just grab that bullet and move it around. Again, associative parts list. Anything changes in the file, the parts list will go out of date, and it'll tell the user you just need to simply update the views, and it will update to any changes that you make. Very nice. The next thing that we want to take a look at is just bringing a part into some saved views that a company might want to set up for some standard views that they always place. In this case, I'm going to grab the hand mixer body, and I'm simply going to drag it in to our what we refer to as quick sheet templates. Now these quick sheets can be set up as template files, again, so that you can follow company standards when you read in the information. And then once that file's read in, if the user needs to, for some reason, change any display settings, maybe add a caption for this, let's just call it mixer body. And you'll want to make sure that you select to show that caption. You can change the text, the font, you can change the font size, things of that nature. The cool thing is under display, you also have full control for hidden edge, shown edges hidden by other parts, tangent edge style, so on and so forth. And then of course under the general information, if you want to give it a description or even change the scale and include PMI dimensions, all of that is available at your fingertips. So we can simply click on the OK button, and there's our title that we've added. What I want to do though is I want to come down to the bottom, and I want to create a cutting plane to create a couple of section views. All I have to do is identify the view that I want to place the cutting plane on. It puts me in like a 2D sketching environment, if you will, and then I can just pick and place a line that's going to represent my cutting plane, close back out, just simply give it a direction in which we want to look down that cutting plane, and then I'm going to create a second one using the same view. This time I want to pick up center to this hole, so we'll do that. Come up to the top, and then sorry, I didn't get it. Again, come up to the top, and then draw my straight line down through, and then I'm going to right mouse button click to get out of that line command. I want to come down and pick up the center line to this one. Pick up that end point, click, and now I've created another cutting plane that goes down through two different holes. And so now I've got two cutting planes created. All we have to do is create an associative section view, is to simply click on that cutting plane, drag it off to the right, and it's going to generate that section view for us very quickly. Now I can also right mouse button click and turn off maintain alignment from this particular view, and then I can maybe adjust it so that it's maybe up out of the way here. Then we can go over to section view again, create another section view, but this time I'm going to turn off this section only option, and you'll see that it just creates exactly where that cutting plane goes through. Then if I want to do a detail view on a section view, I can place a detail view. Also, if I want to place maybe a different type of detail view, I can just pick the view. Again, it takes me into this sketch environment, and I can go in here and maybe I just want to do a square on this particular area here. You'll notice it puts that square on my cursor. Using the up arrows, I can change the scale, or I can actually do the scale, you know, in this manner if I want to do it that way. And you're going to see that it creates some really cool detail views. And of course, if you want to change and do some annotations at this point, maybe you want to do a distance between, or a radial dimension, whatever you want to do, you can add dimensions to your section views, detail views, whatever you're looking to do. The capability is all there right within Solid Edge drafting. The final view we're going to take a look at is this front frame view, and in order to do that I can certainly drag in my views for here, which I could easily do, but I also want to hold the shift key down to override anything else. I'm going to drag this one in, and I'm going to I've got a saved view with some PMI dimensions, and you notice it puts it on my cursor, and then I'm going to go ahead and change it to grayscale and place that view, and you'll notice that it brings that view in, and once it does that I can take those dimensions and I can make any adjustments I need to so that they fit the view. So we can easily bring in information from the part file, but if we want to bring in the other views onto these quick sheet template, which I've already done, we can do that, and then we can use some of our cool dimensioning tools, one called Smart Dimension. The reason I like this command is I can dimension circles, arcs, lines, angles, all from a single command. I can dimension several different types of elements just depending on what I select. Again, very, very powerful command. And of course I can extract thread information and that type of thing. Another thing that's kind of neat is if I want to, for example, do a cutting plane. Let's do a quick cutting plane, and I'm going to pick this view, pick up center, and then just come down straight through, and then just pick it in whatever direction, and then do a section view on that. And then I can use my Smart Dimension tool. You know, if I want to do for example, a from to type dimension, I can easily do that with Smart Dimension. So again, very, very nice tools to work with as far as dimensioning capabilities. Now, let's take a look at another dimensioning tool, one we call distance between. And if I pick, for example, a couple of elements, and then I pick this guy, maybe I want it off to the left, and then I come over and let's just skip that, and I'll just pick this center guy, that works really well. Now if I right mouse button click, I get out of that particular stack. And then I can actually come over and I can maybe dimension, you know, from here to here. And then right click to get out of that stack. Now once you get out of the stack, how do you get back in that particular stack? So all you have to do is just come up and select any one of these dimensions. It puts you back into the same stack, and then I can come up and I can add, and you'll notice it just pushes it up. So it's a really nice tool as far as distance between. Now we also support coordinate dimensioning, whether it's radial or just linear type, and angle dimensions. And in fact, using Smart Dimension, we could even continue just adding you know, whatever we want at this particular point. If we want to just dimension a line segment or even you know, a radius, we can do that. The neat thing as well is annotation tools. We've got balloons, we've got surface texture symbols. So if I wanted to do some kind of surface texture, we've got a whole complement of texture symbols that we can do. Maybe we've got a tolerance we want to hold, and then I can just come in and I can pick, well, maybe this is a machine surface, and so I can, let me get the element, and then I can pick that up, and it's going to give us a machine surface within 1/1000th of an inch or a millimeter, whatever you're working in. Another thing that's kind of neat is if I want to tag this file using an option called property text. What it allows us to do is to grab property text from this file, and then I can say, well, you know what, let's do the back frame, and then I want to get the file name no extension. We'll select that, and then when I come out, if I pick this particular file, it's going to tell me the file name. So I can extract properties from the file and use those as what we call a callout. I can create a callout with any type of property type information. Now this is just a very quick look at solid edge drafting. It works quite well, and it basically concludes the drafting demonstration. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. There's so much more involved with drafting, a lot more tools available to you, so it's certainly worth a deeper look at any time.